Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Truth Talks with Tara, where we are all about helping you uncomplicate what it means to live for the Lord, to know, love, and live His Word. And I was just telling a friend the other day, it's been so fun to be a new mom. I'm still going to call myself a new mom. My son's 4, my oldest is 4. I'm still going to call myself a new mom. It's been fun to be able to integrate some more conversations about motherhood. And today I have been looking forward to this one for so long because we're going to be talking about what it looks like to pursue friendship, hospitality, community, and we're also going to dive into what that looks like as mothers and when we are busy and when those seasons maybe do not look so convenient, how to live out God's commission of community in the context of motherhood as well. And we have a returning friend and guest, Ashlee Gadd, on the show. We were just gabbing before we hit record, and I was just saying how excited I was to have you back on the show. So before I get too far ahead of myself, would you introduce yourself, Ashlee? Just tell everyone who you are and what you do. And then I have another fun icebreaker question for you after that.
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on again. It is always an honor to be a repeat guest, and I don't take that lightly. My name is Ashlee Gadd. I live in Sacramento, California with my husband of almost 19 years and our 3 kiddos who are 13, 11, and 7. And I am a writer, a photographer. I run an online community for mothers called Coffee and Crumbs, where we write really honest stories about what it's like to be a mother. And I am I struggle to call myself author because this is a collaborative book. I am one of the writers and one of the contributors for our latest collaborative book called You're in Good Company, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit more today. And that's me.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Isn't it funny how whenever you're asked that question of what you do and who you are, it's like, why is that the hardest question in the world to answer?
It really is. I'm still working on my elevator pitch for myself.
Yes. I love it. You're so many lovely things. Your books have really encouraged me in my own season of motherhood, and your Substack. I am not active on Substack. I tried it and I'm like, why am I trying to add more things right now when I'm already overwhelmed? But
I feel
reading and being a consumer of your Substack has been a joy. So, okay, I love this. A new question that I started asking friends on the show. It doesn't really have a ton to do with the mission statement of the podcast, but I love cooking and hospitality and all the things. And so I have found that you can tell a lot about someone and maybe their season of life or just their personality by their favorite food. So my question before we start is, and I didn't prepare you for this, which I kind of love that I'm kind of catching everyone off guard. Okay. If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? What do you got?
This feels like a very difficult question because
It's
I love
hard.
to
It's
eat and I
hard.
love so many different foods. I'm trying to think of what is the thing I could eat that I wouldn't get sick of. And it would probably be like a really good taco or a really good taco bowl situation.
Okay. Yeah.
That is so I live in California. We have really good tacos here. That's kind of a go-to in our family. We make taco bowls at least once a week. I think that would be my answer.
I
I don't know
love
if I
it.
have
Okay.
a good I don't know if I have a good why. Just that's what I like. And I don't think I would
Yeah.
get sick of it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can get really creative with that. Like you said, you could do
Yeah.
it in a tortilla, you could do it in a bowl, you could do all these kinds of things. I was watching an Instagram reel of a In-N-Out burger bowl. And I know
Oh.
bowls are a huge thing, but it was literally just like a smash burger patty. And then she did homemade French fries and her iceberg lettuce and like a mayo sauce and tomatoes and cheese. And what else did she do? It was like a whole thing. I'm like, wait, that's actually sounds really great.
That sounds
Sounds really good.
delicious. My friend Anna makes those, I think. I
Okay.
feel like I heard her talking about that once, and it had never occurred to me to try to dismantle a burger and make it into a bowl. But I love the creativity involved.
Sure. I mean, would I choose that over a regular burger? No. But
No.
would it be fun, Oh, okay. So you're from California too, right?
Yes, born and
Okay.
raised.
Are you an In-N-Out fan?
Yes.
Okay. Because I feel like you either are or you're just not. I don't think there's an in between. I feel like it's kind of
Yeah, we have so many different burger options where I live. And I would
okay.
say, In-N-Out is definitely a staple for us. That's kind of our go-to family burger joint. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also convinced. So in Oregon, we have a couple, actually a good handful kind of around. And I'm convinced that the ones in California are better though.
I believe it. I think most things are better in California. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
You're
I
like, wait.
gotta like defend my state because I feel like California, gets a bad rap sometimes. So I always
It
feel like I have
can.
to stick up for us a little bit.
You're like, what are the pros? No,
Yeah.
I feel that with where I live too. We're both on the West Coast. But I genuinely, we've done road trips down to Palm Springs and to Disney and all the things. And I
Yeah.
am just convinced that it's better in California. I'm sure it's the same training and the same recipes and all the same
Yeah.
ingredients, but there's just something about it that like I don't
Mm.
love In and Out here. Like I won't go get it, but like when we're in California, I'm like, yes, sure.
I love
Sounds
that.
great.
You know what? I'm going to just add that to my list of reasons why California is great. I don't have any
Yeah.
fact checking on that, but I'm going to take that as truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's an eyewitness testimony for you. That's so fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you for entertaining my super random question. I think it's super fun. I love that. And
Yeah.
honestly, I am not prepared myself, so I need to think of one someday too. But I feel like there's a running list of like 5 or 10 meals.
Yeah.
So fun. Well, again, thank you for indulging me. But like you mentioned, we're talking all about the newest work that you got to be a part of. It's called You're in Good Company. By the way, friends, the cover means so much to me, not only as like a reader, but like as an author too. The cover says so much. And I love this
Mm.
cover. So you guys need to go look at it.
Oh,
But it is just a beautiful blend of essays and food and friendship and hospitality and
mm.
motherhood. So I want to hear more about why you chose to pursue this work, chose this combination of all different kinds of things molded together in one. Like I'd love to hear how this even came to be because you've written on motherhood before. And
Mhm.
this group is a group of fellow moms and writers and authors that came together on this. But like, why this combination? It's so needed, but I just am curious. I'd love to hear the origin story.
Yeah, we've been writing about motherhood through Coffee and Crumbs for we're going on 12 years now, which is a very, very long time to be
Yeah, yeah.
writing on the internet, let alone writing about the same topic on the internet. And it's funny, I mean, if I really trace back the full origin story of this book, we wrote another collaborative book called The Magic of Motherhood, which came out in 2017. And at that time, a lot of the writers had flown out to California. We had a little book launch party. And it was actually that evening we were sitting around my dining room table at my home and talking just kind of about the book and the process. And one of the girls had asked, do you think we'll ever do this again? Do you think we'll ever write another book
Mm,
again? And it was back then in 2017 that I had said, I think if we ever do another book, I really want it to be about friendship. And so that was sort of the initial seed of the idea, which is crazy because that was almost 10 years ago.
yeah.
And, once we kind of started actually talking about it more seriously, which has only been in the last few years, this was like post COVID. The world, felt just very different. Motherhood
Yeah.
felt very different. I think culturally, we were just living in this moment where loneliness was sort of the buzzword of the day, and we were
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
feeling that really palpably. And so it felt like a really good time to explore this book on friendship. And
Yeah.
I think that friendship and hospitality and food are just natural pairings. I think they really all go together. And again, culturally, living in this time where so many people are swapping, in person gatherings for the convenience of Zoom. And we've got AI taking over everything and nobody knows what's real anymore. And it's funny because we've been working on this book for a number of years now. And I don't even think I could have predicted the state of things when this book
Mm,
would have come out. But it really
yeah.
does feel
Yeah.
like God just had his hand on the timing of this project. It feels like this is a book for such a time as this. And
Mm,
so, yeah, I'm really excited to see it out in the world and really just hoping that it has a little domino effect in the lives of the women who read it.
yeah.
That's really what we're hoping and praying for. We keep saying this is not a book you read, this is a book you live. And we want to see women living this out.
Hmm. I think you guys have nailed it. I really do. And
Oh,
I love how you said that the Lord just really appoints the times for these things to come out. He
mhm.
knows the people are going to read it. He knows the seasons, the culture. And you mentioned something about just friendship changing since COVID and all those things. I'd be really curious. This is kind of off the cuff. How,
Mhm.
I mean, besides just like the fact that everyone lived in their own 4 walls for a while there,
Yeah.
how do you feel like friendship and community has changed since then? And then also, do you feel like people have this is a general question, but do you feel like people have like stayed the same? Do you think that our lifestyle, again, with friendship and community and pursuing one another has changed? Like, has that really altered? Because I think it has in some ways. I'd just be really
Yeah.
curious what you think about that too.
I think there's two parts to this. Number one, I think living through COVID and just all that was going on in our country, specifically just talking to the Americans who listen to your show, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
the divisiveness that we are still continuing to experience even now
Yeah.
in 2026 has been very, very visceral. And I definitely felt that in 2020. People were just taking such hard stances on everything from
Yeah.
vaccines to masks to this to
Mhm.
that. And it felt like there were so many lines being drawn in the sand, where there was sort of like us versus them. And obviously that's such a toxic binary. I feel like we're still living in that right now in
Right.
in this year. But I think that was like one element of it where a lot of, I think, friends and friendship groups per se were realizing, wow, this person who I've been doing life with for a long time maybe thinks really differently about this than I do.
Wow.
And what
Yeah.
do we do with that? I have lived through that with a close friend of mine in 2020 who had very different viewpoints on a lot of things than I did. And I didn't know that until we were in the thick of the pandemic. And so it did bring up some hard conversations. And I'm grateful we are still very close friends today. We've had a lot of really interesting conversations. We still disagree on a handful of things, but we've been able to kind of push past our differences in the name of our friendship. And I'm grateful for that. I know that hasn't been true for everyone. So I do think that's sort of one element of it. And then I think there is another element of when you get out of that practice of in person community, it
Yeah.
can feel awkward to get back into it. And I do think that when we went like almost two, I mean, and I don't know what things were like in Oregon, but here in California, we were very, very, very locked down for almost
Yeah.
2 years and had just a lot of hindrances on what we could do and how we could get together. And I think coming out of that and just trying to like re-enter, you get
Mhm.
kind of rusty. You get out of
Yeah.
practice with maybe having people in your home all the time, and re-upping that is so important, but it can be clunky too. And so I think those were
Right.
kind of, for me, like those are the two dynamics I think of.
Yeah, and when you get rusty in that area, it's easier for you to say, "Well, I'm not gonna do it," or, "This is how it's always gonna be," or,
Yeah.
"I'm not gonna change, like, I just kinda have to," like, it's really easy for us when things are stagnant or become clunky to not pursue something better, to pursue that change.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I have seen myself in that rut too. I mean, there were seasons in my life that I overcompensated, and I'm not saying you can do too much hospitality, but I mean just, like, scheduled too much
Yeah.
and ran our family pretty ragged, honestly, with our schedule
Mhm.
with hosting. Oh, there was a period where it was out of the 7 days in a week, we probably had people over 6 nights of the week, and my husband was like, "What are we
Wow.
doing?" Like, not that we obviously don't love people, but he's like, "What are we doing?" He's like,
Yeah.
like, "Our kids are tired, I am tired, we don't have any time together." Like, so there's that, but also there was a season where I think we, like, went to the other side because I felt so bad
Mm.
about our schedule that we just didn't have anyone over. And then I remember the first time we had friends over, our, like, good friends, right? Like, friends that have been over, and I, like, got super anxious and, like,
Oh,
really
yeah.
overwhelmed by cleaning my
Mhm.
house when I realized, like, my friends are okay if my floor hasn't been mopped for a month, like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna be honest. So, I don't
Yeah.
know, I really appreciate that you said that, but I think
Mhm.
it leads us into this idea of, like, kind of the complexities, right, of friendship, the things that kind of stand in the way. And I want to shift that conversation to like female friendships and
Yeah.
motherhood and maybe acknowledging, do you feel like there are some common lies that we believe as women or as mothers about friendship? Like maybe excuses why it's hard or why we shouldn't pursue it. Because I often, for me, I need to know what's not true to like then pursue what
Yeah.
is true. Does that make sense?
Yes, that totally makes sense. That's such a good way to frame it. And yeah, I think of a few lies that women struggle with, at least that I've heard or even experienced myself, lies that maybe I have believed.
Yeah.
One of those would be this idea that everyone already has enough friends, and I don't I'm at the age where that is true to a certain extent, that a lot of women my age already do have friends, but I think something I hear a lot of women thinking or feeling is that they just sort of assume that everyone has already found their people and there's just not room for them. But in actuality, I hear way more women who are actually longing and desiring for close female friendships, and they're sort of waiting for someone to reach out. They're waiting for someone to
Right.
make the first move. They're waiting for someone to take initiative. And I don't think it's true that everyone has found their people, no matter how old you are, whether you're old or
Yeah.
young. I think there's always room in someone's life for more, especially if there's a good connection there.
Right.
So it's not too late. I always love to tell
Yeah.
women, like, it's not too late for you to pursue a new friendship. Another lie that I have believed myself and sort of been working out over maybe the past 5 to 10 years is just this idea that every friendship should meet every need.
Mm.
And number one, that's just not humanly possible, right?
Right.
But number two, you're kind of almost like setting your friendship up for failure from the get go if you walk into it with such high expectations. And so that's something I've really learned to reframe for myself is that, I have some friends who I talk to all the time, very consistently, day to day. I have some friends that I check in with once a quarter. And
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
some friends who I have a really like deep spiritual connection with, who I can talk about theology with or deep matters of faith with. I have other friends that we love to talk about reality television. And,
Yeah.
it's like, it is
Yeah.
what it is. And
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think it's nice to just kind of loosen the grip on trying to fit every single friendship into the exact same identical box. I think that's
Right.
not fair of us. And I think that it actually just offers a lot more freedom when we can give permission for every friendship to be what it is. Every
Right.
friendship is unique and that's special. And I think when we try to force it into something that it's not, that's when the struggles really appear.
Oof, I love that second one. I think that's super convicting,
Yeah.
especially having two little boys right now. That's
Mhm.
an easy one for me to be like, well, if I can't have everything met, I don't have enough time, right? Like my time is so limited, my energy is so
Yeah.
limited. But
Yeah.
that's such a freedom for me and hopefully for someone listening. That also leads to like a lie that I was thinking of too is often, again, being having such little ones that I feel, pretty zapped, during a day because I have two very wild, but I say wonderful boys that are always on the go. Like, I often think, well, I don't have like, if I don't have a perfect 2 hour chunk without my boys, I can't go to coffee with a friend or I can't
Yes.
invite them over to my house.
Mhm.
And so over the last couple of years, I've really been trying to be like, okay, even if it's 45 minutes and we're going on a walk, whether it's by myself, and I'm feeling overstimulated and like not in a good mental place. Or if I have my boys with me strapped in a double stroller and my
Yeah.
4-year-old keeps wanting to talk to my friend too, and there's interruptions all the time, it's still worth it. It's
Mhm.
still so worth it. I even, example, a couple days ago, went on a walk with a friend and I just was expressing to her how thankful I was with the two boys in tow that she was intentional with her time. And she was like, I can't believe you said that because I feel like I've been going through a really hard season and I don't feel like I have been an intentional friend. But I told her,
Oh.
the times that we are together are
Mhm.
super intentional and meaningful to me. And just, I think, especially as adult females, again, whether you're
Mhm.
married or a mom or not, whether you're in
Mhm.
school, working, whatever that looks like, I think we all have an understanding of like life is full and that's okay. It's not going to be like high school friendships anymore. It's not going to be like preschool play dates. But what you can give to someone, again, whatever that looks like, however much time, I think means more as an
Yeah.
adult female, you know?
I love to even think of it as deposits. Like every time you reach out to a friend, whether it's a text, a 5-minute phone call, a 10-minute walk, I mean, it could be really small, but every single time you are reaching out and making that connection, you're putting a deposit in that friendship account. And
Yeah.
that grows over time. That pays off in dividends over time, and it's worth it. Even when you think that you're not making that much of an effort, I guarantee
Yeah.
you it's going to stack up and add up over the years.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And even just drawing on the first thing you said about the quantity of friends, the reason for those friendships, I have been studying, well, for my last book, I studied a lot about Jesus's rhythm and like what he did in his life. And I
Mm.
know that, people joke that he only had 12 friends, right? Because of his disciples, which obviously those were like his circle and the people that he
Mhm.
was literally doing life with and they were following in his footsteps. But I also just loved looking at the way that he had a cadence of his life. Like, he
Mm.
met people along the way. He, reclined at their tables. He sat with the huge crowds, but then he got away. And like, I just really love the rhythm of his life too. and the
Yeah.
way that he prioritized that deep community, but also was
Mhm.
able to do bigger things, but also made friends along the way. I just think there's so much about his life that often I think we think is not attainable because he was perfect, but Jesus was
Mhm.
also so human like us
Mhm.
and was able to be present, I think. And
Mhm.
even though he
Yeah.
really didn't have a home because he traveled all the time, he still had that hospitality, right? And I think
Yeah.
that is such like a convicting to me, you know?
Mhm.
And so I want to kind of switch into this idea in the book that you and this incredible group write about. And it's just about showing up consistently and imperfectly, especially when it comes to hosting, and especially when it comes to friendship. What does this look like practically for us? And having this gospel centered mindset of like what really matters in friendship, but it's also this other side of the coin where it's like, I want to show up aesthetically. I want to show up really perfectly. I want to have it all together. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to that person who feels like, I don't feel like it's like really hard for me to let that go? Like, what would you
Yeah.
say?
I mean, me too, sister. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
This is part of my life that I have felt so convicted about, even before we were working on this book, but especially while we were working on this book because I I am an admitted clean freak and I love for my home to be beautiful and I've taken pride in that, like not really in a healthy way many times. And so I've really just been working on this idea of my presence is the best thing that I can offer someone.
Right.
It's
Right.
not a clean house. A clean house is not the best thing I have to offer. My undivided attention and my presence and my ability to connect with people, that is the greatest gift that I can give someone. And when I'm panic vacuuming my house before people come over, my mindset is so much more in that like performance category than it is in the presence category. And I think this is where it's good to break down that difference maybe between entertaining and practicing hospitality, right? Because entertaining is more of that vibe, of putting on a show and,
Yeah. Yeah.
making everything really nice. And, I do love to do that. I don't want to like squash that in anyone if that's kind of your creative skill set or just an area of passion for you. I love a lovely dinner party as much as the next person, but more often than not, I can let the pressure to perform, the pressure to entertain overwhelm my desire to just practice true hospitality, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
flinging open your door and inviting people in and welcoming them and loving
Yeah.
them and showing them grace and showing them kindness. And, that doesn't require scrubbing the bathrooms. It just doesn't. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
very easily can get those mixed up in my own head. And
Sure.
so I think
Yeah.
it's kind of a matter of reframing. And I think for me, the best way I've been able to reframe it is my presence is the thing I have to offer. It's not
Yeah.
a perfect
So
home.
good. So good. I don't like, I say this. Okay. I'm stumbling over my words because I'm trying to figure out how to say this right. But I'm just going to say, okay, the homes that I feel the most comfortable in. I'm not
Yes.
saying that they're the
Yes.
dirtiest homes, but I think you know where I'm going with this. The
Yeah, I do.
homes that I feel the most comfortable in are the ones where
Yes.
like the mom has like three, or even a couple kids, even if she doesn't have kids, but like she is present with me and cares more about the fact that
Hmm.
or more about that. She cares more about being with me and being present with people than she
Hmm.
does the fact that, oh, I might have forgotten to scrub the toilet bowl. It looks okay, but like I may not have,
Totally.
mopped the floors. I may not have changed the bed sheets, which, I've seen all those memes of like moms, like when guests come over, they're like, oh my goodness, there's dust under your bed. Everyone's going to see it. Like, I just think sometimes we care so much about that.
Yes.
Not to say that I don't feel at home in the most beautiful homes because I do, but I love that you're like, it just really matters about how we are, right? Because
Yeah.
I've noticed this even as a mom, like my kids feed off of my anxiety, my
Yeah.
kids feed off of my overwhelm and my overstimulation.
Mhm.
And not to
Mhm.
say that that's a sin, like that happens, it's human, but like how do I react and how do I pivot with that? And I think the same thing when you have someone over, when you have people over, whether it's for scones and coffee or whether it's just on a walk, if we are in this tension of trying to people please or in this tension of anxiety and overwhelm, that's going to bleed into our conversation and into the way that we host, right? I also love looking at it as like a long game, right? And not
Yeah.
only Jesus's example in the Bible, but like what he encourages us to do is just be in relationship with one another,
Mhm.
right? To
Mhm.
know that like sometimes it doesn't look like sitting down and asking someone, where are you at with the Lord right now? Or just, but just talking about like your testimony about your life and living alongside someone else and playing that long game of like, I can be an expression of the Lord's hospitality first and foremost by
Yeah.
me just showing up. Like, I
Yeah.
often feel intimidated by some people in my life that I'm like, okay, I really want to know where they're at with the Lord. I really want to make sure that before we move away or before I die, that they know the Lord. And there's this anxiety of getting it done so quickly. But I also think there's hope in releasing that pressure and
Yeah.
letting the Lord just be like, I just want you to be faithful here and trust me to take that growth, right? Or to grow what you are just showing up for, you know?
Yeah, that's so good. And even circling back to the house of it all,
Yeah.
I I feel like when we invite people into our homes and we allow our homes to look like people actually live there, we
Right?
are we're almost going first in that vulnerability factor. Like we're letting somebody see us a little messy. And oftentimes that's a really beautiful invitation,
Right?
for someone to walk into our home and not feel like they have to be perfect or have it all together. Like
Mhm.
they can just sort of be themselves and be messy too. And
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
a really beautiful, obviously, vulnerability is, I mean, a huge component of a deep friendship. And as silly as it sounds to say, like having your house be not perfectly tidy is a way to be
Yeah.
vulnerable, it kind of
Yeah.
is, I think.
I think so.
I know that I feel like more at ease and more at home when I'm invited somewhere where I can tell that real people live there. It automatically
Right.
puts me a little bit more at ease and a little bit more like ready to open up.
Right, right. And like stop apologizing for having your kids'
Yes.
toys around the house. Like
Yeah.
I don't do this as much anymore, and I would say like 99% of the time I'm better at this, but I remember when we first, had our first son and, just adjusting to, like, what that looked like having kids' toys around the house, and, we live in a 3-bed, 2-bath, but, like, still with multiple kids in home offices, it's like there's not a lot of space even with the square
Totally.
footage, and so I
Mhm.
remember the first time being like friends came over, I'm like, "I'm really sorry there's just toys in the corner," and they're like, "You have a child." And it's like, when it like, they are like, I don't expect any less, and it's not less than to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like when we apologize so much, it's almost like a shame thing, or when
Yeah.
we apologize for those things, right?
Yes.
At least we kind of take on that shame of like, oh, it should be better. So I'm just going to
Mhm.
try to cover my shame with an apology. But like with those situations, just knowing that, like, I think so often we think so much more about it than other people do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That's so true.
yeah, I mean, we're so much harder on ourselves than other people are.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this book too, which I love, are these essays that celebrate these monthly dinners. Which I love this idea. It's so fun. I want to know about this tradition and how it started, and also just like practical advice for women being like, hey, even if it's not convenient, even if we're busy, how do we pursue, like, I think it's this craving of like regular relationship, right? And
Yeah.
it's also just
Yeah.
so fun. So if you could give us some practicals, how that started, all the things, how to make it a
Yeah.
tradition in our homes, I think it's so fun.
Yes, yes. I have a group of girlfriends. We have kind of like a little dinner club, and there are 5 of us. We meet for dinner every single month, and we are going on, I believe it's 8 years of doing this, which is insane. And
Whoa,
we've
that's
only,
amazing.
I know, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Even through COVID, we figured out how to make that work. And so we have been growing in our friendship for a really long time now. And I think part of what has kept us really glued together is just this consistency, like this active meeting every month. And I will share 2 really practical tips that have kind of kept that intact. The first one is, this is a friendship hack from my friend Anna, and she was sort of the one that got this all going the very first time that we met for dinner. Before the check came, she basically told us to get out our calendars and said, let's plan the next one. Before we leave, let's get the next one
Yeah.
on the calendar. And that is so simple in theory, but I'm not kidding when I tell you this is the hack. This is how we've been
Yeah.
meeting for dinner for
Yeah.
8 years, is that we never ever leave dinner without having the next one on the calendar. And so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a really practical tip right there. But also, I think just this mindset of we really prioritize one another. And so, you know, um, with this group in particular, it's not like we put this dinner on the calendar and then we wait to see if something better is going to come along. We don't flake on
Yeah.
each other. We don't cancel at the last minute. I mean, we treat this monthly dinner like a real, true commitment, not because
Love
we're
it.
legalistic about it or psycho, but because we just genuinely are really dedicated to bearing witness to one another's lives. We're really committed to our collective friendship. And I think that is the second, but really necessary component of this is yes, set the date, set the schedule, put the things on your calendar, but then you actually have to show up. And, we're still kind of living in this time. I think this kind of probably caught on during COVID, but I think residually we're still experiencing it now where it's kind of cool to cancel plans. There's like that, what is it, that acronym, like instead of FOMO, it's like the joy of missing out. People are
Yeah,
joking
like,
about
is it
JOMO.
JOMO? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have the joy of missing out. And,
Oh, man.
people are just happy to introvert and happy to stay home. And trust me, nobody gets that more than me. I'm a total homebody. I'm an introvert. I love to be home. But if you want real friendship in your life and you want to be in community with other people, you are going to have to leave your house. And so I'm really
Right? Yeah.
passionate about this of I don't want people to keep glorifying canceling plans, I'm especially for no good reason. Sometimes things really
Yeah.
come up and we actually do have to cancel plans. And that's obviously very understandable. But canceling plans for the sake of canceling plans, I don't think is a trend we should be excited about. I think
Yeah.
friendship
Yeah.
requires something of us. It requires sacrifice. It requires our time. It requires our attention. And you can't have those really deep, meaningful friendships if you're not willing to show up and treat it like a real commitment.
Right. Okay, and I love this too because it's extremely doable. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know that we're all busy. So then what you said touches on, the prioritization part of like, if it matters to you,
Yep.
like, do it. Keep
Yeah.
that event, like, keep it sacred, right? But also, like, okay, we're not talking like dinner every week. We're talking monthly dinner, and then I'm sure you guys keep up in texting or maybe a phone call or
We have an
maybe
ongoing
see,
text thread. Yes. And I
right?
would also,
So
I want to just quickly add, if I can, that if, depending on the season that you're in, if you're listening to this and you've got like a newborn and a toddler and you're
yeah,
breastfeeding around the clock and you're like, I can't even get out for dinner once a month, that's too much. This little scheduling hack works with anything. Like you could meet up for coffee once a month with someone. You could take a walk with
right,
someone
right,
once every other week. I mean, whatever it is, frequency, whatever the event is, it doesn't matter. The whole point is just get the next one on the calendar before you part ways. And this could be anything. You could be meeting at the park with your kids, whatever
right.
works for you.
Yeah.
It's just the simple act of committing to the next one.
Right. And I think that's really important for people in different seasons, right? Like, and if you have different schedules, like say you have a group of moms or a group of women that some are moms, some are married, some are single, like if you have a group that crosses a bunch of different seasons and schedules, like it's still doable, right? I think
Yeah.
it's really easy to assume that if I don't keep company with the same moms with the same age of kids or the same
Hmm.
couple, like that it's going to be hard to do. But again, it just comes back to like if it's important to you to prioritize it, and then
Hmm.
also, like, I love that you guys just be like, hey, before we leave, we're doing the next one because we have such good intentions to be like, I'm going to text you,
Yep.
we'll text and we'll get it on the calendar. And then a couple weeks go by and then you're finally starting to plan something. And then like, it doesn't work because you've let it kind of run down the line there when it's actually just being like, hey, I'm going to show up right now and we're going to do it and we're going to be
Hmm.
happier later for it.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
intentionality.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's one of my biggest pet peeves, and I'm sure I've even done this before, so I need to be careful with how I say this, but it's one of my biggest pet peeves when there's maybe a group text going around or a couple of friends who just keep saying like, "We should hang out sometime." Totally. Let's hang out sometime. And then like a plan never materializes. And so that's one other thing that I think I've really learned. And again, my friend Anna has been really instrumental in this because she has shown up for me in really specific ways. But Anna has taught me so much about the gift of specificity and putting skin on your love and like putting a date and a time and a location on the plan. Don't stop circling around it. Stop being so vague. And I think, we're so like non-committal these days. And I want women to be more committal. Like I want women to just
Yes.
get more
Yeah.
specific. And so this is something I've really learned again from just this group and this 8 years of dinner that anytime I'm talking to someone and that phrase comes up like, "Oh, we should hang out sometime." I am so quick to say, I can do coffee next Wednesday morning. Does that work for you? I mean, I will set out the thing, the day, the time, and
Good for
just
you.
get really
I love it.
specific. Sometimes people are taken back by that because, maybe they didn't actually mean it, or maybe it's too soon or whatever. And I've
Yeah.
learned to just be okay with it, maybe, not coming together if the friend wasn't ready. But I would rather put the effort out there to actually name the date and time than just keep circling around that
Yeah.
vague plan,
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's really, I mean, not to over spiritualize it, but like kind of, but it's like, it's what we're called to do. We're supposed to pursue one another in love. And like,
Yeah.
that looks like you being like, hey, let's put a date on it. Like, let's not
Mhm.
just like dance around it. Let's actually pursue one another. And oftentimes, sometimes we're longing for this friendship and community. And I say this because I was in a season where I remember I'd vent to my husband. It was probably around the time we got married. And I just be like, just like really wish my friends would text me about hanging
Aw.
out. Like, why aren't they doing it? And not to say I have bad friends. Like, we're all busy. And so obviously, like,
Yeah.
I don't blame them at all. But then Michael's like, why don't you do it? I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yep.
like, why don't you do it? I'm like, you're so right. Because it's not that my friends didn't want to hang out. It's just that, like, I think everyone was so consumed that it's easy to forget to be the pursuer. And
Yep.
sometimes all it takes is one person to do that, and then
Yes.
kind of set that ball rolling and kind
Yeah.
of set the tone for that
And
friendship. So just pursue other people. Like, what's the worst they can say is no. But also, if they're your friends, they're just going to be like, yes, thank you for
yeah.
doing this. I needed this,
I am so passionate about everything that you're saying right now. Just this idea
Love
of
it.
going first. And I will say, in my own experience, it is so much easier to be the initiator and be the person that goes first than to sit at home waiting for your phone to ring.
Yep.
And there are so many women sitting at home waiting for their phone to ring. And so
So true.
I always want to grab women by the shoulders and be like, you can go first. You can be the friend you want to have. If you want someone to text you, text someone. If you want to go to
Yeah,
the movies, go invite somebody to the movies, do the thing like you wish someone would do for you. And I honestly think that the more and more women kind of like push past that fear of rejection, that insecurity, whatever it is that's kind of blocking them, the easier it gets over time. I am like
totally.
a serial inviter at this point in my
Me
life.
too.
I did
Yeah.
not used to be that at all. I used to sit at home and throw pity parties for myself because people weren't inviting me to do stuff. And now
Mm,
I'm the inviter and I'm the doer. And it has gotten so much easier over time to just become that person. It's like a
yeah.
muscle. You just got to keep working it until you're really strong.
It's true. And I think, and I mean, this may sound like cheesy. You might just have to do it to realize it's true, but I think people are going to surprise you. Like, we're
Yeah.
always like so fearful and worst case scenario, but I think more often than not, people are going to be really excited because people are craving that. And I think there's a lot of respect that comes from being that pursuer. Not that we do that for the respect, but there is like this is a true friend that really cares
Mhm.
about me, and it does trickle down into the people that you're in relationship with, and hopefully will also spur other people on to be that pursuer, the person that goes
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
I love this
Yeah.
so much. I feel like we could have talked the whole episode about going first, and maybe we'll have to do that sometime, but I'm so grateful for you, Ashlee. Like, I always love getting to
Mm.
talk to you. And getting to share this with our listeners too is such a treat. So, in that vein, I would love for you to share a little bit more about where people can get You're in Good Company and continue to keep up with you, because they're going to want to get this book. I told someone the other day, this is not a coffee table book in the way that like it's just pretty on your coffee table, but it's one
Mm.
that I can so easily flip to if it's
Yeah.
just around, if it's in my
Yeah.
space. It's so easy just to get a nugget as you're going on your busy day. So, where can people get this book and keep up with you?
Yes. Well, thank you for those kind words. You can buy You're in Good Company pretty much wherever books are sold. It's on Amazon, Bookshop, Barnes and Noble, Christian Book, all the major retailers out there. And if you want to keep up with Coffee and Crumbs, we are on Instagram. We're on Substack. We're in just kind of all the normal places. And me personally, same. I'm on Instagram and on Substack. Those are kind of the two hubs I'm using somewhat regularly these days.
I love it. I love it so much. Thank you, Ashlee. You are the
Thank
best. I
you.
love spending time with you.
Oh, thanks for having me.